I call this pre-meeting briefing of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees to order at 6 o'clock p.m. on April 4th, 2024. The purpose of this pre-meeting briefing is to conduct a briefing session with administrative staff regarding the posted agenda for the regular board meetings scheduled at 7 p.m. on April 4th, 2024. For the record, board members present are Tara Herbachik, Sally Derrick, Kim Brady, Ileana Garza Rojas, Randy Shackman, and myself, Cassandra Hatfield. We do have a board member that is stuck in traffic and will be joining us soon. The next item is audience for guests. Persons who wish to speak during audience for guests may have completed this form for this purpose prior to the opening of the meeting. Ms. Canada, do we have anybody wishing to speak? All right, with no one wishing to speak, we'll move on to administrative reports. Dr. Eldridge, do you have any reports from administration?
Yes, Board. The first item up for discussion is Mr. Guerra. Item 5C, financial reports.
Thank you, Dr. Eldridge. Good evening, Ms. Hatfield and the rest of our board. Okay, so as y'all know, this is just our monthly financial update to say where we are as a district. The financials you have in front of you this evening are for the month ending February, which completes 6 months of the 12-month fiscal year for the district. And you can see over the last couple of months, the collections have gone up significantly from 8% to 29 to 65 to they're a little over 77% now. So we're doing really good on our collections and revenues for the district. On page 2 of your report, you can see the expenses, and they show about 46%, which is good, being us, again, 6 months through the year. So we're keeping our expenses down. We're watching all our expenditures as we continue through the year. So if you have any questions on the financials, I'll take them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Guerra. Board members, I'll give you a chance to look over and then see if you have any questions. All right. With no questions, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item's up for discussion and reporting. Mr. Blackburn has the next few, which is item 5J, which is ballistic window film, 5M, CMAR, and 5N, which is security fencing. So, Mr. Blackburn, if you'll just distinguish between each number and letter, thank you.
Mr. Blackburn, your mic.
Sorry.
No problem.
Good evening, Dr. Eldridge, President Hatfield, members of the board. It's good to see everybody. In regards to the first item, I think it's item J and the window film. Are there any questions? I don't have any pictures or anything to show you. Are there any questions I can answer regarding that? We have a lot of window film in place. We had a district-wide assessment done by an architectural firm to establish the work that needed to be done to bring our entire district up to the current TEA standard for making our facilities more secure. And so the film will be, the scope was for, if film is missing, to add film on the interior surface of the particular opening, and as well as perimeter adhesive around the edge as part of the system. And if there were some places where we needed to complete the perimeter adhesive, so that's also addressed. And we got 3 different proposals, and the proposal before you was the least cost proposal that addressed the scope that we defined.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Board members, do you have any questions? And just to clarify, this is to bring us up into compliance with the
Yes, ma'am.
requirements of TEA.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, next one.
All right, the next item refers to some initial GMPs for some of the work that's being done by our construction managers. And just as a reminder, y'all have seen this a couple of times before, but in the 2023 bond cycle, there was about $17 billion worth of work that was passed, so it's a tremendous amount of work that's in the pipeline. I do feel very good about the fact that we've signed up our design and construction teams. Those are secured. What we have not secured until we can actually begin construction are the subcontracts. So we're trying to start those as quickly as we can where it's prudent. where we're not still making some decisions. So in a few cases where the scope is well-defined and it stands alone, we'd like to be able to proceed with that work to be able to get some of that underway. And as you've seen before as well, this is the third step of the process. We've already selected the delivery method, we've selected the construction firms, and this is for one of the construction packages. And it's not the entire package, it's part of it. It's just the scope that stands alone and is well-defined and is not impacted by some of the larger decisions that we're considering. So we're able to proceed with that. And to give you an example of the playgrounds work that we are proposing to begin to execute the contracts for, this is an example of our current playground standard. The new playgrounds that we are installing include synthetic turf as opposed to the wood chip mulch. The synthetic turf results in a much, much improved accessibility for all of our students, as opposed to the mulch where, as you can imagine, a wheelchair does not travel on mulch well, if at all. So these are ADA compliant, and although this one does not show a shade canopy structure because that was not identified by the 2018 Bond Planning Committee as part of the scope they wanted to proceed with, it was included, shade structures were included as an item by the 2023 Bond Planning Committee. So going forward, where we do playgrounds, we will be doing a shade structure. So to give you an idea of what you're considering tonight, it'll be a playground similar to this, where you've got multiple play structures in multiple areas in a field of synthetic turf, as well as a shade structure similar to what's installed currently at Good. And then I think the other part of this was a couple of cooler freezers at a couple of elementaries. I didn't think y'all needed any pictures of cooler freezers, but if you have any questions on cooler freezers or playgrounds, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Questions or comments, board members? Mr. Pache.
Just to clarify, or for my board colleagues, that one of the discussions in the Citizens Committee, of course, the focus was on special education and the desire for accessible and inclusive playgrounds at our schools, and so this is great progress to do that. Just a general comment for you, Ms. Hatfield. I think we need to discuss having a meeting to re-clarify the role of the Bond Oversight Committee, so that there's an understanding between the Board of Trustees, administration, as well as the Bond Oversight Committee, what their role is. There seems to be a disconnect, and I think we need to do that prior to the next Bond Oversight Committee meeting, so that we can ensure everybody is operating on the same page. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Elders, do you have that note? Do we know when the next meeting is by chance?
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Mhm.
Okay. Board members, any additional comments? Yes, Mr. Shackman?
If we approve this tonight, it's not going to impact the start of any of the 2023 bond projects.
This is just a small isolated portion of some of the 2023 work.
Okay, thank you.
Additional comments or questions? Ms. Benavides?
Thank you. I want to just say thank you for considering our wheelchair children. It's very, very nice.
Additional comments or questions? All right. Thank you, sir. Dr. Elders, do you have any additional administrative reports?
I think that concludes the administrative reports.
All right. So with that, we'll move to item number 4. Board members, do you have any additional questions regarding consent agenda items? All right. See, Ms. Brady, you're flipping, so I just want to make sure. Okay, I don't want to move on. All right. So we have reached the end of our agenda for the pre-meeting briefing, and we are adjourned at 6:10 p.m. I call this regular meeting of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees to order at 7 o'clock p.m. on April 4th, 2024. Board members, district staff, members, and members of the audience, you are free to join me in standing as Susan Neff from Heartland Church and the nonprofit Clothes in Hope provides a message, followed by the leading of the pledges by Blaylock Middle School student Ava Carlson, leading the pledge to the U.S. flag and the pledge to the Texas state flag.
I'll bow our heads. Thank you, God, for today and all the beautiful blessings that were in it. We ask that you give the board guidance, wisdom, and direction as they make important decisions that will end up having a big impact on all the schools. Open our hearts so we can better serve the students and the families better. It's in your powerful name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much, Ms. Neff and Ms. Carlson. We appreciate you help supporting us tonight with the pledges and that message. It is April, and we are so close to the end of the school year, but there is so much work being done by our teachers and staff in our schools right now as they really support students with student growth, and we are so blessed and thankful for the hard work that they're doing, and we welcome you this evening as we kick off the April meeting. As a district, we dedicate all of our efforts and resources to our goal of high expectations for all. The board uses this goal to guide all deliberations, decisions, and actions. You will get to see all deliberations, decisions, and actions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in closed session as stipulated in the Texas Government Code, Section 551, commonly known as the Open Meetings Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with our attorney, and real estate. For the record, board members present are Tara Herbachik, Sally Derrick, Carolyn Benavides, Kim Brady, Ileana Garza Rojas, Randy Shackman, and myself, Cassandra Hatfield. We constitute a quorum and may conduct business on behalf of the district. Before moving on to the next agenda item, I would like to remind you that the board will accept comments from citizens of the district and from district employees. Persons who wish to speak during audience for guests must have completed a form for this purpose and placed in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. When the board addresses item number 3, audience for guests, you will be invited to the podium to speak to the board. On the next agenda item, item 2, special presentations and recognitions. So 2A, Ms. Parnell.
Good evening, President Hatfield, Dr. Eldridge, and members of the board. Tonight, we want to begin our recognitions by announcing our CFB Champion Awards for April. This award is sponsored by CFB and Chick-fil-A at Trinity Mills, and this award recognizes teachers, employees, students, and or community members for exemplifying excellence. Tonight, we are very proud to present this award to one of our most favorite partners, and that is Randolph Brooks Credit Union. And if you will please come forward at this time. RFB-FCU has been a sponsor of the CFB's Teacher of the Year program since its inception. They support our events that have impacted many CFB departments such as transportation, safety and security, student nutrition, and more. We can always count on them for their engagement at campus events as well as their sponsorship of the Educational Foundation's annual employee giving. Thank you for making a difference in the lives of our students, our staff, and our district. Congratulations. April is Volunteer Appreciation Month, and in CFB, this is one of our favorite celebrations. And tonight, we are honored to recognize this year's deserving recipient, and it is Just Because Inc. So we have the representative, Chrissy Van Burnt, if you would please come forward. And I think, Chrissy, you have some board members with you as well. And Just Because is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to touch hearts without an agenda. It's just to share kindness. Just Because regularly provides CFB students and families with hygiene kits, food, socks, and many other items. Chrissy and her team work tirelessly from their home. Her daughter is super involved with the nonprofit, and she is a student at R.L. Turner High School. So congratulations. Thank you for being a founding donor of our Giving House and for the impact you've made on so many of our students' lives. Congratulations. Next, we are extremely proud to announce that the Creekview High School Wind Symphony, under the direction of Artur Dennis and the Creekview High School Percussion Ensemble, under the direction of Bill Holden, recently performed as the invited featured ensembles representing the state of Texas at Butler University in Indianapolis, Indiana. This marks the second occasion in the school's history that both the Wind Symphony and the Percussion Ensemble have received this prestigious honor. And this last time they received it was in 2018. So we have invited them tonight. If you'd please come forward, we'd like to congratulate you on this wonderful achievement. Well, enrollment and registration for the 24-25 school year opened on Tuesday, and we are excited that a number of students have registered for the new school year. And part of this campaign this year is our students that enroll during April will get a special Fast Pass, and with that they will get earbuds and other special discounts throughout the next school year. So tonight we wanted to recognize our very first registered person or student, and we're going to ask her to please come forward. And this is Sia Rue, a first grader at McCoy Elementary School. Mom, do you want to come take a picture too? Congratulations again to all of our honorees. We're so proud of you, and that concludes our recognitions.
And I look out in the audience, I see a number 1. Well, congratulations to our Volunteer of the Year. The amazing work that they do to really support our students is such a blessing. And to the Wind Symphony and the Percussion Ensemble doing great work and continuing to show off the amazing work that CFB does in fine arts. So we thank you for your dedication and your hard work. And to the credit union also. So thank you all for the recognitions tonight. We'll move to trustees' reports. Trustees, would anyone like to share any celebrations or observations from the past month? Ms. Benavides?
Thank you, Ms. Hatfield. There's just so much going on. I had the pleasure of walking on National Walk Day with La Villita. They have a beautiful lake out there that we went all the way around, all 800 students. So that was amazing. And they also lead Casey's Run participants with 372 signed up to do that. Isn't that awesome? Yesterday, I got to go to the dress rehearsal with Leon. The Chevals for their spectacular tonight and tomorrow night. And if you have the chance to go out there, wow. The uniforms, the girls, the passion of the dancers, just amazing. Reading for Las Colinas was great, and McWhorter had a good career fair. They're really recruiting our kids early, so it's really nice. Thank you.
Any additional reports? Mr. Shackman?
Ms. Brady and I had the opportunity of joining Dr. Eldridge and meeting with Justice of the Peace Court Judge Mike Jones, and he's very excited about work that they're doing to support the growth in students, and he was looking forward to more work here with CFB, and it was just a great opportunity for us to network in the kind of way that we like, because it's really making a difference when we can partner with people like the Justice Court.
Ms. Brady?
Thank you, Ms. Hatfield. I just wanted to talk about the Arise Leadership Academy, at Polk Middle School that is run and created by Ms. Kellum. Those young ladies are impressive. Their confidence, their creativity, their maturity was absolutely astounding. I just wanted to shout out to her because she's an amazing leader. I hope that she can spread that to other schools in our district, because those young ladies are benefiting quite a bit.
Any additional comments? Well, I will add that today I had the pleasure of eating at McCoy Elementary, and if y'all didn't know, we have a new menu item. It is buffalo chicken bites. And I must say, I was pretty impressed with the buffalo chicken bites. So kudos to our cafeteria team for putting a new menu item. I'm sure kids love buffalo chicken bites as much as I did. And then also, it was really great to experience. A couple of weeks ago, Perry Middle School brought a bunch of kids to SMU, which is where I work, and I got to spend a little time with them while they were on campus, and I was super impressed with the students and their inquisitivity and just the way that they engaged on the campus. And so it was a real blessing to be able to see our kids on college campuses really thinking about their future. So with that, any other comments? Okay.
I do have one other.
All right, Ms. Benavides.
At the city level, we had 2 early college high school students that were nominated for Youth Volunteer of the Year for the city of Carrollton. Brandon Castaneda had 650 hours, and the young lady that also attends the high school had about 43 hours. Her name was Marisol Martinez. So that was great for our team to really impress upon them and help them to reach their goals. So congratulations.
Wonderful. All right, so with that, we'll move on to item 2C, which is district announcements. Dr. Eldridge?
Okay, a couple things. Just to our students, thank you for all the hard work, and just remember to come to school, because we're still counting attendance. So still, attendance awareness is so important. So super excited. Thank you for our student that was #1 in enrolling. With our new campaign that you're seeing everywhere, social media, some advertisements from every school that we have, just in a few days, we have had 1,965 people enroll, and of that, 373 of them are brand new families to CFB. So we are spreading the word about how hard our teachers work, how great our students are, and all the programs. As you see tonight, you guys are amazing, and that's what's spreading. So we can't do it by ourselves. It takes our one big family. So I'm super proud of that. So with that, we are also having a job fair virtually this Saturday, because we need lots of great teachers. So that people can register on our website. And guess what's happening next week? You guys know. Get your glasses. We have a great plan in CFB. I think the weather we're constantly watching. I really appreciate our communications department for keeping us up to date on what's happening, and you can access our plan because we want to keep our kids safe and really enjoy this scientific one. I mean, I think the last time we had a solar eclipse was 2017, but not to this degree. So I'm very excited about it. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Dr. Eldridge. Our next agenda item is 2D, update from PTA. Ms. Petraza?
Good evening. I am back again this month. Thank you, Dr. Eldridge, and our esteemed Board of Trustees. I'm Bonnie Petraza, the Reflections Chair for Council PTA. Once again, we will start my presentation with our motto, which is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Thank you to those of you that joined us for our spring extravaganza. La Valita Elementary PTA had a great showing with the most board members attending. We had a great time going through the many tasks for the remainder of the year, but managed to add some laughter, fun, and community spirit. We feel confident our local PTAs will finish strong and are headed to a successful new school year. Excuse me. Council PTA will be hosting a questionnaire for our school board candidates. If you have questions that you would like considered, please email reflections@cfbpta.org or submit them through our Google form, which can be found on our webpage and on Facebook, I think on our Instagram. I'm not sure about the socials. I don't do all the communications, but it's on all the socials that we have. So definitely Facebook, definitely our webpage. This is a great opportunity to hear where the candidates stand on important public education issues. And all school board positions are nonpartisan, and again, Council PTA is not looking to endorse. We're just looking to inform the electorate. District-wide, we have 6,347 members as our membership continues to grow and local PTAs earn some coveted awards. Last month, we recognized 16 PTAs that earned Golden Apple Awards with a plaque for their school. This means every single staff member at their school joined PTA. And we would like to thank the principals, especially for really helping us drive that home. Again, we thank you for your continued support and advocacy. We invite you to join PTA if you haven't yet. It's not too late. You can do that through the end of the year. And together we are PTA. Thanks again.
That's great. Thank you, Ms. Petraza. We have such a wonderful group of PTAs, and our council PTA really helps keep everything alive and going in our local PTAs with everybody active this year. So it's really great work you guys are continuing to do. So thank you. All right, at this time, we want to have a brief pause to allow anyone who would like to step out of the meeting to do so. Anyone wishing to remain for the meeting, you are welcome to stay with us for the rest of the evening. All right, our next agenda item is item number 3, audience for guests. Persons who wish to speak during audience for guests must have completed a form for this purpose and placed in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. Ms. Canada, do we have anyone wishing to address the board? Okay, with no one wishing to address the board this evening, we'll move on to agenda item number 4, non-action items for discussion with the transportation update. Mr. Hill.
Dr. Eldridge and President Hatfield and members of the board, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to serve and to work, and we'll see if we can get started. I have been told by multiple members of the audience I only have 7 minutes. In fact, I was promised if it was under 8 minutes, I'd get a standing ovation. So we'll see what we can do. We're going to give you an overview of this past year. You'll get to see some pictures, various things that we've done. Excuse me, Love the Bus Month. These are some of the great people that work and really make transportation what it is. The upper left-hand corner, one of my favorite pictures, chili dogs. We had 3 key words this year that we focused on. One was community. Number 2 was consistency. We did a lot of good things last year, and we wanted to continue that this year. And the third thing, which has taken a lot of my time up, was efficiency. So you get to see some turkeys that we gave away and crazy sock day. Historical timeline, Carrollton-Farmers branch took over from Dallas County in 2017. There was some leadership transition. I came on board 2 years ago and started working. And this year we really focused on efficiency, on how to make things better. I want to say this from the beginning, there was no major overhauls needed. But I think everything you can look at and try to make 1% or 2% better, and that's what we focused on. Some more crazy sock days. That's our Christmas dinner there in the garage. Our first thing we focused on was community. This is one of my, the next one's my favorite slide. That's one of our pancake days there in the garage. They're cooking. This is my favorite slide. Almost everything on this slide was our community giving back to our community. When I say community, I'm talking about transportation. We have several things throughout the day, throughout the year: Crazy Sock Day, Western Day, 70s Day, Ugly Sweaters Day. A lot of times I just wear Ugly Shoe Day every day. Who said yeah? We had a holiday party. We gave away 35 turkeys and about 20 hams. That was money that was raised from our staff that gave to our drivers and monitors. We've given over 25,000 pounds of food away, over 30,000 pastries. We've helped pay utilities, rent assistance, bought groceries, bereavement assistance. We celebrate birthdays. We've made over 5,000 bags of popcorn. If you've not had popcorn from transportation, it's better than movie popcorn. So stop by on a Friday. It's every Friday. We've cooked about 2,400 pancakes. We've given away 500 slices of pizza. And I know it's hard to believe, but we've actually eaten about 40 gallons of ice cream. And a monitor pays for that every time. I put Ice Cream Friday on there, and about a week before, she'll come up and she'll say, "I'm paying for the ice cream." I said, "Well, I was planning on paying for it." "Nope." And so this past time, we gave away ice cream sandwiches. But it's a great... One big family is, the truest definition is transportation at one big family. We really have a great sense of community. Some more pictures. One of our vendors sent out a snow cone machine. This is one of our dinners. On our birthday celebration, we also have fruit so that the diabetics can have something to eat. This is something that we really wanted to focus on. I thought we made a lot of strides last year, so I wanted to continue to do the same thing that we did. What have we done? Well, we've hauled over 1,620,000 students were transported. That's 4,500 in the morning, 4,500 in the afternoon for 180 days. We've driven over 2.5 million miles, or 100 times around the earth, here in Carrollton-Farmers branch. 66,960 routes, 2,500 field trips, 80,000 students transport, 190,000 hours worked. And we have a bus that leaves at 5 o'clock in the morning and one that doesn't get back till 6:15 at night. So we have about a 13.5-hour window where we're keeping the roads warm. We've answered over 4,400 phone calls, 20,000 emails. We've used 312,000 gallons of diesel, 67,000 gallons of gas. We put on 250 tires, 3,600 quarts of oil. We've hired over 50 new people this year, new drivers. We've interviewed over 200. We have 1,000 hours of training in those 50 people. And one of the things that I'm the most proud of on this slide, we have a staff meeting and a team meeting. I have a staff meeting every week, a team meeting every month, but I give homework, and we have over 630 hours of personal development training that they're not paid for. It's something that they do on themselves. So they're trying to become better individuals, better mothers, better fathers, better employees, and they have homework. It's really cool. I'm very proud of that. Great team. Our last but not least, and I know I'm under the clock here, is efficiency. That definition is using the least amount of inputs to achieve the highest amount of output. Very big, very important. More of the Western days down on the bottom right-hand corner, a lot of fun. How are we doing efficiency? Well, one thing we did, we went back to a 3-tier system, and in going back to a 3-tier system, we eliminated 18 routes this past year. That sounds like not that much, but when you figure up labor, mileage, PMs, gas, over $1 million we saved the district by eliminating those routes. That's efficiency. It also helped our field trips greatly because when we were a 2-tier system, middle school and high school were competing all the time for field trip drivers and buses and all that. Well, now we don't have to do that. Our field trip satisfaction rates went way up. We do monthly route audits every single month. That's because of traffic, all kinds of things. We've implemented a more efficient and timely routing software. Now, especially for special needs, this was very important. When we put that in there, we now can give a sub-driver directions from the apartment number to the school, where our routing software before was just kind of an address. So, well, I don't know if you know it's not, but Carrollton has a lot of apartment complexes. And so if you go to 300 Jefferson, there could be 1,000 apartments there. Well, the new routing software now takes them to building 4, apartment 5. It just makes the routing so much better. We utilize a new video system, which that's been implemented and done to assist campuses with maintaining control of the buses. I don't know if this is something to brag about, but we've had more children suspended from the bus because of what we caught them doing. And that has really made a huge difference, not only at the school level, but at the bus driver level. That's been a very positive thing. We've worked very hard at collaborating with Wolpert, Special Services, and Student Services to make the transportation element of school more palatable for everyone. I'll give you a little snidbit. So we've taken our school district and we've put it into quadrants. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And Sarah, who's somewhere here, there she is, has been a huge proponent. And so now what we are doing in our quadrants is we are taking the transportation. If you live in that quadrant, the service is in that quadrant and the transportation's in that quadrant. So an example is we had 3 special needs students that live south of La Valita that went all the way to the north end of the district. Well, next year that won't happen. They're actually going to go in their quadrant, and that makes things much, much more efficient. And so we've worked very hard on that, and we're on pace to save over $100,000 in overtime. What's our next steps? Well, our next steps, next year, hopefully we can come back and talk about this. We got to update our fleet. We really haven't done a major update on any fleet here for about 7 or 8 years. And so we're working very hard. Mr. Greer's helping us out, and we're going to try to upgrade our yellow fleet, our white fleet. We've just rebuilt all the fine arts trailers this year. And we're looking at maybe purchasing our own semi-tractors for the fine arts to save money. Right now we pay about $100,000 a year to rent those. In 3 years we could pay for them and then have 10, 12 years of free besides what we're paying the driver that we have to contract right now. We're launching our badge system this summer. We're excited about that. We've been working on it. I know we talked about it about 18 months ago, but because of COVID, there was about a 7-month window that supply chain, but we are now on our 3rd final phase, and that is the badge. We have our pre and post trip. We're now communicating with our shop, And so now we're going to launch the badge system. So this summer, when the kids come back to school, everybody will have a badge. They'll be wearing a badge, and we'll be able to tell where they're at on the bus, when they're on the bus, if they didn't get on the bus. And so we're very excited about that. We're going to continue to hire till fully staffed. I have to share this. I'm a part of a group called the North Texas Association of Pupil Transportation. That pretty much is transportation departments in Dallas. It's about 75 schools. We have about 25 to 30 districts that consistently do, and we are the number one as far as being fulfilled on hiring staff. And so we're very excited. We only need about 3 or 4 more drivers and about 10 monitors, and then we'll be able to work on field trip drivers, and we're very excited. We have a recruiter that has worked very hard, and our training department's worked very hard. I'm very proud of all that. Continue to fine-tune that process. And in studying the efficiencies of transportation zoning, that quadrant thing I was talking about for all students and all grade levels. And I think I get a standing O.
All right, I'm waiting for the audience. Thank you, Mr. Hill. There you go. Go on.
Man. Any questions?
Questions or comments? Ms. Garza Rojas. Oh, now mine won't
It's not
go off.
working. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thanks for turning it off. Thank you very much for your presentation. I really appreciate it. And amazing work with everything you do and your staff. And thank everybody on the transportation team on behalf of me and everybody on the board. You do an amazing job. So thank you very much. So I have a question about the badge system.
Uh-huh.
So just to clarify, is it going to be a system that's going to be added onto the buses? Or how is that going to
It's
work?
already on the buses. The
Oh,
only
it's
thing we
already
haven't
on the
done-
bus. Okay.
If you remember a couple years ago, we put a system called Zonar. You approved it. Zonar does our pre and post trip through a computer. Then it also communicates with our shop for work orders. And the third phase of that is the badge system. So when we put it on, we already put the badge system on there. All we have to do now is get the badge into the kids. And we're also working at making that badge. Now, it may not happen in August the 12th, but over the next year, it will also be implemented through the school so that they only have one badge. We're trying to put all that together for food, library, everything.
Okay. Thank you.
So what will happen is a kid will badge in the morning. If they don't have a badge, we can type in their number. It will pull up a picture on the tablet, and they can ride the bus home. They can't ride the bus home without a badge because the school can print one.
Oh, okay.
But when a mom calls and says, Junior didn't get off the bus, in seconds, we'll be able to say, well, Junior didn't get on the bus, or Junior's on the bus and didn't get off at a stop, or Junior got off at a stop.
Okay. So let's say we update the fleets
Uh-huh.
the next time, right, in a couple of years, is it something we can move?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, great.
In fact,
that's all I wanted to know.
we added a position of audio video tech, and we've got him all trained, and we will do all that ourselves. That will save money.
Okay.
So we'll take it off an older bus and put it on the new one.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Ms. Benavides?
Mr. Hill, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
I look back when you were brought onto the team and the top 3 goals you set with Brian, and he said if you could do just one, we would be so grateful. And you have just blown it out of the water. Thank you. You're a great leader. I love everything you do for your team because they are definitely underserved and underprivileged in many ways. And you've just brought such a heart of gold to that department. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Additional comments or questions?
I do want to say before I step down, I'm the dumbest person there. I don't mean that bad. I'm not trying to be self-deprecating. I get to be the voice and the face, but really I do probably the least amount of work there. It's the people you just referred to, the drivers, the monitors, the office staff that really day in and day out just kill it. And I get all the accolades. You hardly ever see them, but they're really the ones that do the work, and I would be remiss to not give them the credit.
But Mr. Harrell, you've also helped create that sense of community that they are now carrying on because you started that vibe, I guess you could say, and put things in motion. Being in your team meeting a couple of weeks ago and listening to, it was like tips 101 for life success that I got to hear. And I was like, oh man, I need to remember that little tip. And, you know, it's not everywhere that you go that you're constantly building leaders within a group. And so the investment that you're making in them, but then when I sat and had lunch with them and the way they talked to each other and the way they engaged with each other and the way they encouraged each other, that is a culture that is created by a team. So I'm very proud of this team, the transportation. You guys are doing great work. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. All right, our next agenda item is a construction update. Mr. Blackburn.
Good evening, Dr. Eldridge, President Hatfield, members of the board. It's good to be with you tonight, give a brief update. Just a quick recap of the 2018 bond scope adjustments that we did make that this was presented originally back in October, but just a quick refresh. There was a little bit of a scope adjustment at the natatorium per discussions with the Bond Oversight Committee. We did reduce some scope at Central, Farmers Branch, and Carrollton due to the fact that they were going to be slated for replacement. Same type of thing with Salazar and Grimes. Scope was eliminated as they were slated for replacement. And then at a few elementary schools, we did not do some permanent doors and partitions scope that we are recommending to do as part of the 23 bond, and we are planning to transfer some funds to address that scope. Final touches are going on. We are right at the finish line to wrap up and have at financial close almost every project. Just you can see the list there. We have struggled a little bit with the generator at Sheffield. The City of Dallas is extremely stringent with generators, and so, but I think we are finally there. Tomorrow should be the last flip of a breaker and check of 2 emergency lights, and then the fire marshal should sign off. So I'm very happy to see that day arrive. We are planning to add back a little bit of scope at Standards and the natatorium that we didn't do originally because of budget concerns. We are pursuing pricing for the adding lighting at the north end of the stadium where it's extremely dark for track meets. We looked at that with the athletic director and a construction firm this week, improving the home restrooms, and also making improvements for the natatorium lockers that we weren't able to address. And just as a quick refresher on work that was completed at the natatorium, there was a significant amount of work done. I won't read through the whole list, but just to highlight one thing that I actually dug up a YouTube video about is replacing the bulkhead in the pool. They actually had to get a rigging firm to come out, build 2 miniature cranes effectively to lift on both sides of the bulkhead and then get that on a trolley, roll it out because it's one big long, about 40-foot piece. They rolled in a new one. That was quite an operation, but there was quite a bit of work done. I just wanted to refresh everyone on that. And then, all right. And then just as a summary for currently remaining funds, as you have seen previously, the fund balance for 2018 bond funds was about $22,100,000 in January. We've got a few additional project expenses for a couple of items. Last month, the board approved turf replacement and track resurfacing at Standards, as well as some added fencing and equipment for the 4 high schools and Perry Middle School fields, the work that's just been done. So once that is taken into account, the current unencumbered 2018 funds are $18,850,000. So the $18,850 is the amount from which we would draw the funds for the add back work at the natatorium and the stadium that we're looking at. I don't anticipate that's going to be any more than $1 million, just to give you a very rough idea. That's pending, what we hear back from the construction firm. They're waiting on getting some input from the sports lighting company to see what the best approach is going to be for that. So hopefully we'll have that very shortly. And then just as a quick reminder as well, there was $17 billion worth of school bonds passed in the 2023 calendar year. That's a huge amount of work, and that's only public school funds in the North Texas area. That doesn't count the rest of the state of Texas. It's a huge amount of work. I'm very pleased that we've been able to sign up our architects and our construction managers, so we've got that taken care of. But we still, because of the decisions that we're considering right now in terms of the overall district plan, there's still a lot of, we've slowed a little bit in our push to get the construction started to make sure we're making the right decisions. So we haven't gotten our subcontractors lined up because it's not time to yet. So we do want to try and get as much what we can that makes sense to underway, but not more than what makes sense to. But it is important to proceed where we can. Just as a quick reminder on the procurement process that you've seen before, we're now in the third step for the items that are before you tonight that we'll consider later in approving a limited GMP for one package. Quick refresher on the studies that are underway from our consultant, Wolpert. They include capacity utilization, facilities and master planning, and educational specifications. We do have a workshop coming up next week, as you know, and we're continuing to work on that, and we should have some recommendations to present to the board from Wolpert in June. Next steps include some educational specification lab committee meetings next week with 3 different groups on 3 different nights. The options development session on the 11th, pre-K discussion with the bond oversight committee on the 16th. Hopefully from that bond oversight committee meeting will come a recommendation for just the pre-K piece of the overall district plan. So we're hoping we'll be able to do that in the May meeting. And then in the June meeting, as I mentioned, we should have the reports from Wolpert that we can begin to consider what the optimal strategies are going to be to move forward, considering all those factors, but always having the guiding principles of student achievement, teacher support, and fiscal responsibility. I believe, yeah, that's my last slide. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Board members, any questions or comments? You're off the hook tonight. All right. Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Okay, the next agenda item is a long one. I get to read for a very long time. Is the annual announcement of board training credit. Under the State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I am required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment, or the 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 8 training areas for board members' continuing education: local district orientation, orientation to the Texas Education Code, post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code, team building, additional continuing education, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children, and school safety. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to required training. For board members who still have time remaining to complete required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members' training in excess of the continuing education requirements. Local district orientation. No new board members were required to complete local district orientation training for the time period covered by this announcement. Orientation to the Texas Education Code. No new board members were required to complete the orientation to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered for this announcement. Post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code. The following board members have completed the post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training: Carolyn Benavides, Kim Brady, Sally Derrick, Ileana Garza Rojas, Tara Herbachik, Randy Shackman, Cassandra Hatfield. Team building. The following team members have completed team building to the Texas Education Code training: Carolyn Benavides, Kim Brady, Sally Derrick, Ileana Garza Rojas, Tara Herbachik, Randy Shackman, Cassandra Hatfield. Additional continuing education. The following board members have completed the additional continuing education requirements: Carolyn Benavides, Kim Brady, Sally Derrick, Ileana Garza Rojas, Tara Herbachik, Randy Shackman, Cassandra Hatfield. Evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. The following board members have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals: Carolyn Benavides, Kim Brady, Sally Derrick, Ileana Garza Rojas, Tara Herbachik, Randy Shackman, Cassandra Hatfield. Identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. The following board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking: Carolyn Benavides, Kim Brady, Sally Derrick, Ileana Garza Rojas, Tara Herbachik, Randy Shackman, Cassandra Hatfield. School safety. The following board members have completed the biennial training on school safety: Carolyn Benavides, Kim Brady, Sally Derrick, Ileana Garza Rojas, Tara Herbachik, Randy Shackman, Cassandra Hatfield. Exceeding required continuing education. Board member Carolyn Benavides has exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 24 hours. Board member Kim Brady exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 31.95 hours. Board member Sally Derrick exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 27.45 hours. Board member Ileana Garza Rojas exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 26.45 additional hours. Board member Tara Herbachik exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 27.45 additional hours. Board member Randy Shackman exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 27.45 additional hours. Board member Cassandra Hatfield exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 40.95 additional hours. Board members, are there any questions regarding the report tonight? Seeing no questions, well done, my fellow colleagues, with all of our training that we've done. All right, so I think we're good to continue going on. Everybody good to keep going? Okay. So we will proceed to our next agenda item, item number 5, the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism that the board uses to approve a number of routine items together with a single vote. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the public notice for this meeting includes a list of all consent agenda items, and the board has been provided ample information about these items in advance. Prior to any action taken on the consent agenda, board members may request withdrawal of individual items for clarification or discussion. Board members, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda at this time? All right, so hearing none and seeing none, board members, do I have a motion regarding the consent agenda? Ms. Brady?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Ms. Brady. Do I have a second? Ms. Benavides is a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? By a vote of 7 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. The next agenda item is item number 6, items for discussion and/or action. Let's see, there are no items that were removed from consent that need to be addressed, so we'll skip item 6A and move to 6B. So the next item is 6B, consider and approve the purchase of HMH reading resources for the expansion of additional schools for phonics and grammar program. Ms. Holcomb.
Good evening, President Hatfield and Dr. Eldridge and distinguished members of the board. We are here this evening. I am here with Ms. Brianna Burrell, our Director of Reading Language Arts for Elementary, and we are here to provide an update on our HMH supplemental resources that we brought to the board in November to provide a brief update and then ask for approval for an expansion of those products. So in November, when we came to the board, we requested the supplemental curriculum materials specifically to address the phonics and phonemic awareness and spelling curriculum resources. We would like to continue that. It has gone very, very well. As well as the grammar resources. We would like to continue that as well at all campuses. They have all been implementing that since about November, December-ish. And the core reading literature materials and leveled literature has been implemented at the pilot campuses. So this evening, the expansion of the items that we're requesting are for the remaining campuses that were not using the reading literature at the initial onset of the implementation. In the blue area on the bottom chart there, you can see the product that we have been implementing, the HMH Into Reading curriculum, as well as the Ariba resources. They are mirrored curriculums. The Ariba is the Spanish version. The Into Reading is the English version. The pilot campuses have been doing the English language arts and Spanish language arts reading. The other two columns are for the phonics and spelling. It's the same curriculum resources. All campuses are currently using that. And then also the writing curriculum we are going to seek to continue for the remainder of our time, and with no changes unless we choose to supplement with the additional things that we've already purchased. Moving forward, just to remind that these items that we have put into place as supplemental materials are all 100% aligned to the Texas Essential Standards and Skills, which are required by TEA. They also meet our compliance items that are necessary for our explicit phonics curriculum that is also mandated by the state. In addition, our materials are designed for dual language programs, so they will fit nicely in at our 2 campuses doing the dual language, as well as our one-way programs. One of the areas that we had brought to discuss last time that was going to be a huge benefit for our classroom teachers was a unique resource called the Teaching Pal, and then the Student My Book. Just as a refresher, the Teaching Pal was going to provide direct explicit instruction for the teachers, as well as scripted depth of knowledge questions and language differentiation. And so there's a picture there that's kind of hard to see the detail, but inside the flap of that book where the story is opened up, you can see on the right-hand side sort of like a sticky note, and that has the detailed information for the teacher to use if needed. So this has been a critical factor for our new teachers who are young or new into the profession, who also need additional coaching and support. They have that right there in front of them as they're doing guided reading lessons with the teachers or with the students in explicit instruction, as well as the My Book, which allows our students to work within these stories. They can annotate stories. They have stories in color. They're consumable, so we'll have those replenished every year. And the students can take those stories home in color, and that's been another really wonderful benefit for our students. So I'm going to turn this part over to Ms. Brianna Burrell to talk about the implementation in the classroom.
So I just wanted to share some actual pictures in the classroom of teachers using the Teaching Pal and the Student My Book. So here in this picture, you can see that the teacher is explicitly using the book with direct explicit instruction, and she has the notes on the side, as Kim mentioned, and the students will have that book right along with the teacher, and they're highlighting, annotating, and finding text evidence while the teacher is modeling the explicit comprehension skill. So it's been really beneficial for the teachers to have the book and the questions right there, and the students to also have the text with them so that they are able to follow along. As we have seen that it's been very beneficial, and the students are highly engaged in the work.
So I'm going to talk a few more minutes on some data. As it's still very new, we've only implemented this. We did the full training in January, but we have been doing some early implementation with some of the pilot components. And so some data that we do have that we would like to share, and then Brianna's going to bring in some more evidence that she has and some testimonials. Is at the very beginning, I brought some phonics and phonemic awareness data back in November about where we were at beginning of year testing. The 2 columns on the left-hand side show the proficiency levels of, at that time, our first graders and where our proficiency levels were in the final 2 zones of proximal development. So the idea is we want to get, of course, 100% of our students to the final zone of development so that they can be fluent readers. As you can see, after MOY testing, we were already at 75% in both of those columns. So that's a huge increase. And that was really prior to, I would say, the full implementation of all of the training, so it will only get better from there. This data will also be refreshed again for EOY, which we are about to embark on that final round of testing. So we're really anxious to see that final data, and we can provide more of an update at that time. So that's on the pieces that we've been doing at all campuses, which is the phonics and the grammar.
So tonight, what we're asking is for our I'll go back to this one.
Sorry.
Is for the campuses, what we noticed in November, we were super excited about delivering the materials as soon as we got the approval from you all. So all hands were on deck. We were grateful from the warehouse department for letting us borrow dollies and flatbeds. Cindy and her team was able to barcode all of the materials that you see in those boxes so that all of the things are accounted for year after year and that we're able to keep up with the materials that we have that are provided. In January, we provided a full day training for all of our campuses that were beginning the reading curriculum implementation with the HMH staff developers. And all throughout since January, we've been providing for the teachers one-on-one coaching, small group intervention activities. We've also provided district training in February where we help the primary teachers understand how to implement the curriculum to improve small group instruction. And in March, we provided a training for our 3rd through 5th grade teachers to understand how to use their STAR data to implement some new strategies using the HMH curriculum. What we've noticed is that so far, just with our STAR DCFA data, that our scores in the reporting category 2 for the revising and editing, since all campuses are using the grammar, has increased about 6 to 10% in each grade level. So we're really excited about that. So what we're asking for today is for the remaining campuses to also be included into that full reading implementation, and so that they can begin when we start the new school year in August 2024. I wanted to share some pictures again so that you could see what's happening in the classroom. So here you will see the primary classroom. Students are using the materials in their engaging way. We have supplemental materials that they are continuing to build their foundational skills in phonemic and phonological awareness. Students are actually getting up on the, going to the board and modeling, segmenting, and blending sounds in kinder. Not only are we working on the foundational skills, but we're also building those key comprehension skills that they need for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade that you can see on the picture to the left in the primary grades. Also, not only do the teachers have the paper book of the Teaching Pal where they can see the notes, but they can also project it on the screen. So having that technology integration as well as the decodable so that teachers can use that and have the students follow along while they're reading aloud. And as you can see, the kids have the books with them and they're super engaged because they're able to read along with the teacher and answer questions as the teacher is having that explicit instruction. Not only are we seeing great things happen in our monolingual classrooms, but in our bilingual classrooms, we're seeing students engage in the foundationals with the phonetica with their Reba La Lectura. And also we're noticing that in our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, because there is vocabulary and discussion integrated into the curriculum, we're seeing more discourse happening and rich discussions happening in those classrooms. So you could see here students are taking notes and they're working as a group and discussing their notes. All of the lessons and stories are cross-curricular, so they're making connections with science and social studies, which is building a lot of background knowledge for our students as well. Also within the materials, not only do we have the Teaching Pal and the My Books, but we also have materials for small group instruction, including the Rigby readers for the leveled guided reading. We also have on this, you will notice the tabletop mini lessons. So the teacher has a little cheat sheet where she can do strategy lessons and work with the students on explicit skills to get them ready for STAR. And so they have questions on the back of that teachers can use to help guide the students and to do that work independently. I just wanted to share several different testimonials. Teachers have been emailing me, emailing Kim, their principals have been calling, and they're super excited and grateful that we have provided this opportunity to use the HMH Interreading and Ariba curriculum. One thing that we are hearing is that the teachers are excited about teaching again, therefore the students are excited about learning, and that's exciting, and it's a priceless testimonial that we can hear. All the way from our seasoned teachers to our brand new teachers, they feel like they can now collaborate because they have something that's unified that they can all share. in classrooms, if there's a teacher that's out in Spanish and then the teachers and the students need to come into the English class, they can all read the same thing and feel included into the instruction. So I just wanted to share a couple of testimonials. One teacher shared that her students now in second grade have richer discussion and their comprehension is higher than where they were when she taught third grade students around this time. So it's exciting to see that our students and they're moving up levels, even though we don't quite have the data yet to share for that because it's happening in the moment, but we're starting to see that the students are having that rich in discussion that we didn't see before. Teachers feel like the materials are very high quality. It's has Bloom interaction activities, and they just have been sharing a lot of positive feedback. So I just wanted to share that with you today.
And so I wanted to also, before I close with the last slide, is to just, this is a huge undertaking, and there is an amazing team that has been able to pull this off. And I just could not go through a presentation like this and not thank tremendously the work that Brianna and her team have done. Technology, we could not have done this without the fast-working, amazing department of the technology who jumped on board and got this aligned and out for our campuses to access it. In addition, Cindy and her team, just unbelievable. Like, they helped with all of the freight. Like Brianna said, the being able to barcode to be able to protect the inventory that we have purchased, to make sure that we are continuing to be accountable for those materials year after year. It has just really been, it's been a wonderful team effort, and we thank you for the support to be able to do this. So we are excited that, it is April, but we've had a good few months run with this. We do feel like it is the right supplemental resources to recommend for the remaining campuses that do not have the reading pieces. So the takeaways from our presentation is that we want to continue to increase the foundational skills and reading proficiency level of all of our students, including increasing the revising and editing skills, which we think are very critical to our writing proficiencies, especially the way that our writing is weighted on STAR now in every single content area. We want to increase the effectiveness of core instruction with high quality resources. Of course, compliance with all of the TEA mandates and legislative requirements around the phonics. We also want to help provide a teacher-friendly resource that will reduce time in lesson planning and preparation, but be able to provide something that they can jump into the classrooms and do high-quality lessons. In addition, we want to support our new teachers who are learning how to teach. And all of these pieces helped our teachers to be more effective in the classroom, as well as provide things that are highly aligned to our standards that we know we are responsible for in our core instruction. So we thank you for your support and open for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Burrell and Ms. Hookham. Board members, do you have any questions or comments? Ms. Derrick.
Of course, I have to say at least something. And I will not cry this time, I promise. Thank you both for the presentation and for your commitment to this process, because this is a huge undertaking. I'm already excited because data seems to be trending the right way, and that I know that was a mixed bag of results because it was all students, not broken down to just the ones that are already receiving the new supplemental curriculum. But still, I think that it's probably only going to get better and better. So that's super exciting. I can't wait to see the data that shows us how much our kids are growing. Because like we talked about last time, this is what sets them, this trajectory for them into the future forever and ever. So, I mean, this is big, important work that we're doing. I have a question for you because we're talking supplemental. This is all supplemental. And just for knowledge, explain to me, so what is the core curriculum? Like, what's the difference between what the core curriculum is and what this is? And then, since this is supplemental we're talking about, are we looking at into the future changing that up so that it aligns with this?
It's a great question. Do you want me to tackle? Yeah. Okay. Brianna can certainly chime in on the side. They have done a huge heavy lift on this to integrate the two. So we do have our units of study curriculum that is available on all campuses that has been invested in. The campuses that did the supplemental materials got additional reading materials that they have been solely using in place of the other. So that group has been using all the reading materials. The curriculum, we kind of have it sort of hybrid right now because we have the curriculum that was written and aligned to the standards that was with the original resources, but we've been able to stay on the same scope and sequence and supplement with the other materials so that the pilot campuses can continue on the same track but use those materials and the others who were not quite ready for that are continuing so that we're not having a gap in our instruction. Everyone implemented the phonics and the grammar because that was a necessity. So at the time that we implemented that in November, that was the group that kind of then integrated all of that in with our other materials. We had other phonics materials that we were using. We still use Hegarty, which is also a great resource, and that will also continue. So it's right now we have, because we have the pilots and the non-pilots, we have the other group that is ready to come on board and utilize the reading materials as well. So does that kind of answer?
So are we thinking then, as of next year, everyone's going to be doing the same thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last part of your question, so the request for the purchase is to finish out the remaining years of our adoption. And so we have 3 more years left, and then we will be back out for adoption for reading. That's, of course, statewide. So this year, our adoption is science, and there will be a recommendation for the board next month for our new science materials. But because this was the remaining years of our current, we're going to finish that out with those supplemental resources and then be able to move forward with one straight trajectory with the new materials. Yes. Anything else? Okay.
Mr. Shackman?
This is very exciting, and we're looking forward to continuing it. My question is, what about in-service and professional development to make sure that this is getting implemented fully?
Great. So we have provided monthly professional development. I actually sent an email out to all the teachers with like tips and tools every week. I send like a weekly HMH hack of the week. Also, as we're preparing for Growing Greatness, the pictures that you saw here, those teachers, we have been working with them and giving them feedback. So now we're trying to develop them into teacher leaders. And so for the next round of teachers that will be trying on at HMH, we're going to have those teachers lead and become like a model classroom so that the teachers can get that hands-on experience and see what it's like actually in the classroom.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Shackman, I will tell you that I went over to the educational building and teachers were in the hallway waiting to get into Brianna's training. And I said, oh my goodness. And they go, we're so excited. So thank you, Brianna, for all your hard work and all the training and the enthusiasm, and our teachers who had to switch gears.
Yeah.
You know, and that they're actually attending the training and excited to attend your training to sit in the hallway.
Yes,
So thank you.
sit in the hallway.
And one other, for the staff development, we do have included in our package ongoing staff development that's individualized for the campuses, as well as group training. So in August, we'll be having another round of training with the vendors coming in to train the second group, as well as having individualized staff development options for the principals to then do either virtual or in-person training with what their campus needs. So that will be a good way to differentiate and help support them in the way that they need that. And I have to reiterate, that training there were people everywhere, but the funny part was I was on a campus doing a walkthrough, and one of the teachers had the demo account, and she had already pulled up resources and was looking ahead in hopes that she was going to get the okay to jump in and start using everything, and had already been emailing all of her teacher friends saying, I've already figured this out, we can't wait to show you, and they were just really taking the ball rolling, and Brianna comes in and says, hey, I think they're really excited, we need to get this reined in, and I'm like, okay. So it's been really great, and we're excited for the enthusiasm and for that to continue and see the benefits in our classrooms.
Additional questions? Ms. Benavides?
I was thinking about the Ariba. How is that working versus what we had prior for our Spanish-speaking population?
Yes, so for the Ariba, the one beautiful thing about it is that it's authentic literature, not just translated literature. So the literature that the students are reading is made for the Spanish language. We're also noticing that the students are able to make connections with science and social studies now that they have not only just fiction texts, but nonfiction and biographies and all the different genres that they can integrate. Also, what we're noticing is with the grammar, because we we were creating that, our team was creating that as we were going, we noticed that we have increase in our grammar and revising editing for our bilingual students. Also, with our newcomer academy, we were able to right away have curriculum ready and available for all of our newcomers because we had all those resources on hand. So right away, we were able to just say, here you go, here's the curriculum, here's the books, and then now even with mixed grades, that teacher can use one skill but have it in different levels and reading levels and teach a great amount of students at once. So it's been really great.
That's great. Thank you for covering the newcomers. And then I was wondering, what about their reading levels? I mean, how do they just jump into that, and how receptive or easy is it for them to understand Spanish that they maybe have never read before?
So one thing that we love about the ARIBA curriculum is that the teaching PAL is always done with the teacher, and the teacher is modeling foundational skills that the students may or may not have experience with. So for example, envisioning. So let's visualize what's happening in the story. And so all of the skills are taught multiple times within one story, and the students are just following along either with their eyes, or they, because they haven't had experience with the text, can follow along with their own books. Another thing that we have is with the Rigby readers, we have several different levels so that that teacher can still teach that same skill, but now she has a variety of text, so she can go down all the way down to a level A or to a level J and still teach that same skill with a variety of texts. So that's been amazing as well.
Nice. Can I ask one more question? Okay. What about, is that for just the Spanish-speaking teachers, or?
No, it's the exact
everybody?
same in
Okay.
English and in Spanish.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's really good.
So one thing that we, like I was saying earlier, a teacher was out, one of the bilingual teachers went out, well, all the kids were able to engage in the opportunity because all of the students have been reading the same text, and they're all doing the same essential question of what makes light and dark for science. So when they were doing their turn-in talks, the English and the Spanish students were able to talk together because they were all had that same background knowledge. So that is really exciting that you don't have to like put kids on the side because they don't understand what's going on in the classroom. All kids can participate.
That's wonderful. And then my last question, what about our African American children? How are they doing?
They really like it as well because, like I said earlier, there's a variety of texts, so they're seeing different cultures and also seeing students or stories and characters that look like them. Also, they're able to, I was in one classroom and the kids were able to make connections like, oh, I can see cause and effect. Well, why this guy made a farm. It was a biography that they were reading, and they're making connections all throughout, even with their own lives. So that's something that is exciting to see. Also, that they feel engaged and they can see themselves inside of text is always a plus.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really, really happy about that. Thank you.
Board members, any additional comments or questions? Okay. Ms. Burrell, thank you so much for your boots on the ground, day to day, I am sure night to night, weekend to weekend. Amazing work that you and Ms. Holcomb are doing together, I know, but the teams that are supporting you, it is clear and evident that you guys are invested and that you are really supporting teachers. And in the end, that's what we really want, because when the teachers feel supported and feel valued and feel like their voice matters, this is really bringing that work home, and the implementation plan that you guys have put together is very well thought through and is very clear that you're supporting teachers, and ultimately that's going to improve student outcomes. So I can't wait to see the next time y'all can visit us and the continued results. So thank you both for all your support and efforts on this initiative.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So board members, this item is marked for possible action. Does the board wish to take action? Ms. Derrick?
I move that we approve the purchase of HMH reading resources for expansion of additional schools for phonics and grammar program.
Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Garza Rojas. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? By a vote of 7 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is number 7, closed meeting as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Section 551.074A1, deliberation regarding appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a teacher. Item 7A, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, including the discussion of recommendation to terminate the probationary contract of Ashley Mulford at the end of the contract period in the best interest of the district in accordance with the Texas Education Code, Section 21.073. The board will now move into closed session. Audience members are welcome to remain in the boardroom as board members recess and move into the conference room for deliberations. The time is now 8:14 p.m. We are back in open session and the time is now 8:42 p.m. Our next item is item number 8, reconvene an open meeting for possible action regarding items discussed in closed meeting. Item 8A, consider and take possible action on recommendation for termination of probationary contract for Ashley Mulford at the end of the current contract period in the best interest of the district in accordance with the Texas Education Code, Section 21.01. Let me repeat that. Texas Education Code, Section 21.103. Board, this item is marked for possible action. Does the board wish to take action? Ms. Brady?
I move that the board terminate the probationary contract of Ashley Mulford at the end of the current contract period in the best interest of the district in accordance with Texas Education Code, Section 21.103.
I have a motion for Ms. Brady. Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Derrick. Is there any discussion? All right, all of those in favor, raise your hand. All of those opposed? By a vote of 7 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. The board will move on to the next item, item number 9, comments from board members regarding posted agenda items. Board members, do you have any comments you wish to make at this time related to the posted agenda? All right, so with no comments, we have reached the end of our agenda and we are adjourned at 8:43 p.m.